Thank you. It's good to be back. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to talk a little bit more about privacy considerations for research. And today's agenda, I'm going to review again the de-identification standard under HIPAA, looking at what is PHI and what is PII and the difference between the two, and then the actual process of de-identification of PHI under HIPAA so that it can be used in research and public health activities and other things without violating HIPAA. Then I'm going to look at the data classification levels. There's 4 levels at UCLA, minimal, low, moderate, and high. And I want to give you some information about kind of what information is entailed in those classification levels, some examples of that kind of information, and then kind of what the main concerns are around that information. And finally, I want to talk about incident recognition and reporting. And I think we reviewed this the last time, but I just want to go over it again because it's important that incidents are immediately reported so that they can be mitigated, sorry. So what is PHI and PII? PHI is protected health information. That's the technical term under HIPAA. And it refers to any individually identifiable health information held by a covered entity like a healthcare provider or insurance company that relates to a patient's past, present, or future physical or mental health and the provision of healthcare or payment for healthcare. And PII is personally identifiable information. It could be health information that's got personally identifiable factors in it, but it's any data that can be used to identify, contact, or locate a single person, either directly, like through a name or a social security number, or indirectly when it's combined with other data like a birth date or gender. And the process of de-identification under HIPAA, it involves removing or obscuring 18 identifiers from health information so that it no longer identifies an individual. The process enables the use and disclosure of health information for various purposes, including research and public activities, and that would be allowable without any violations of HIPAA. So there's 2 methods under HIPAA for de-identifying PHI. The first one is the safe harbor method. It involves removing 18 specific identifiers, and we'll go over those in just a second. And then the expert determination, where you have a qualified statistician or an expert who determines if the risk of re-identification is very small based on generally accepted statistical principles. And we do have a lot of, in my experience, a lot of researchers who use the statistical method when they can't necessarily get rid of all 18 identifiers. So here are the 18 identifiers that are outlined in HIPAA. I won't go through all of them individually, but you can see it's a lot of direct identifiers like addresses, elements of dates like birth date, admission date, discharge date, date of death, fax numbers, email addresses, social security numbers, account numbers, certificate and license number, vehicle license plates, your URLs, finger and voice prints, and the last item is any other characteristic that could uniquely identify the individual, which is a pretty broad category. And I want to show you what UCLA Health considers other characteristics that could uniquely identify the individual. It's IRB or research study identifiers, clinical trial record numbers, barcodes, revealing occupation, unique condition, or publicized clinical event. So that's what I had to talk about on de-identification. If you have any questions, we can look at those at the end of the presentation. Next, I want to turn to data classification. There are 4 levels at UCLA, as I said, and the first one is minimal risk. It's information that is intended to be readily available to the public, but it's important that the integrity and modification of the information is not made. And then IT resources for the application of minimum security controls is sufficient. Examples of level 1 information include public-facing informational websites, public event calendars, the hours of operation, parking regulations, and press releases. So those are all easily obtainable by the public. The primary concerns about level 1 information is the integrity and availability of the information. So we want to put controls in place to prevent unauthorized modification, defacement, misinformation, and service disruption. And when I talk about putting controls in place, I'm talking about working with IT to make sure that there's adequate controls around the information. Like for the higher level classifications, we'll talk about encryption and those kinds of controls. The next level is low risk, and it involves information that's related to IT and related IT resources that may not be specifically protected by statute, regulations, or other contractual obligations or mandates. But it's generally intended for public use or access. In addition, information of which unauthorized use, access, disclosure, acquisition, modification, or loss could result in minor damage or small financial fines. It could cause minor impact to the privacy of an individual or a group. And examples of protection level 2 information include routine emails that do not contain level P3 or level P4 information. It could be a calendar information not containing P3 or P4 information, or meeting notes not containing P3 or P4 information, or it could be research using publicly available data. And the primary concerns around this kind of information is to prevent accidental exposure, inappropriate sharing, unauthorized internal access, and loss of routine institutional information. And then the third level is moderate risk, and it's institutional information whose unauthorized disclosure or modification could result in small to moderate fines, penalties, or civil actions. Institutional information of which unauthorized use, access, disclosure, acquisition, modification, or loss could result in moderate damage to UC, its students, patients, research subjects, employees, community, and/or reputation. This classification level also includes lower risk items that, when combined, represent increased risk. And examples of level 3 moderate risk information includes student records that are covered by FERPA, certain types of personally identifiable information not classified as P4, certain special service records, security camera recordings, building entry records from automated card key systems, research results and supporting data from a long-term study not containing P4 information, medical devices supporting diagnostics not containing P4 information, and industrial control systems affecting operations. And the primary concern around this kind of information is documented accountability, controlled access, encryption, as I mentioned, monitoring, access review, vendor oversight, and regulatory defensibility. And then the last level, level 4, is high risk. And it's institutional information whose unauthorized disclosure or modification could result in significant fines, penalties, regulatory action, or civil or criminal violations. Statutory and regulatory contract obligations are major drivers for this risk level. Other drivers include, but are not limited to, the risk of significant harm or impairment to UC students, patients, research subjects, employees, guests, program participants, UC reputation related to a breach or compromise, and the overall operation of the location or essential services. And examples of this level 4 information are protected health information, which is patient records, credit card data, which is controlled unclassified information, financial aid information under GLBA, certain types of personally identifiable information, like large collections or special sensitivity to privacy, human subject research data with individual identifiers, medical devices supporting care, or industry control systems affecting life and safety. And the primary concern here is it's highly regulated, high impact, mission critical life safety, secret or significantly harmful information and systems. And the controls that we'd want to have in place are identity controls, encryption, monitoring, segmentation, formal risk governance, regulatory compliance, and evidence of defensible control operation. Encryption is really important in controlling the security of information that's identifiable, because if we have encryption and it's disclosed or and there's an unauthorized access, we typically won't have to do a breach notification because the information is not readable. So now I want to turn to incident recognition and reporting. I wanted to distinguish what a security incident is compared to a privacy incident. And a security incident is a specific type of incident that involves a violation of an organization's security policies or a direct threat to the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. There are specific types of incidents that can involve unauthorized access to systems or data breaches or theft, malware, ransomware, or phishing attacks, and denial of service attacks. And I don't know if many of you are aware, but we've had ransomware attacks at UCLA in the recent past, and they're very disruptive. The focus on a security incident is containing the threat, protecting the data, and finding the root cause. And that should be done in connection with IT resources. And a privacy incident is a little bit different. It's a suspected or confirmed loss of control, unauthorized access, use, disclosure, or destruction of personal information that's identifiable, or protected health information, which is PHI. It involves a violation of privacy policies or security requirements, whether accidental or malicious, and covers both electronic data and physical documents. So some examples of a privacy incident include unauthorized access or disclosure, like sending an email with sensitive data to the wrong person, or authorized users accessing data for non-business purposes. So if somebody's in a medical record and they're not part of the care team, that could be a privacy incident that needs to be investigated. Another example is loss or theft, like misplacing a laptop or a phone or paper files that contain personal information. Physical mishaps, like improper disposal of hard copy records or theft of devices. So not securely shredding information that has like health information or something, that other sensitive information that would be a bad idea. And then the last example is cyber attacks, so ransomware or phishing attacks that impact personal data. So what happens if we do have an incident? We need to report them immediately, because California law requires that UCLA notifies affected individuals if the information is encrypted and it's reasonably believed to have been accessed by an unauthorized party. So what should you do? You should report it immediately. Do not attempt remediation on your own. We need to get IT involved. And then how do you report it? You can report it to security@ucla.edu, or you can use the report a cybersecurity concern form at that URL. And then the next steps after an incident is reported, it's triaged and validated by IT. And then we coordinate the required notifications under policy 420 at UCLA and other applicable laws. And then we support, contain, and investigate and recover the data if possible. So I think that's pretty much all I had for today. Just a high-level review of data classification, de-identification, and incident reporting and recognition. If you have any questions or you would like more information about any of these topics, you can contact me at the information provided here. I also included the UCLA Health um, email address. It's compoffice@mednet.ucla.edu. If you're working with PHI, for example, that is from the UCLA Health Organization, you probably want to work with the privacy team at UCLA Health, and that they're available at that email address.
So thank you so much, Ross.
Yeah, are there any questions?
I actually have I have two questions that I
Yeah,
thought I'd start us out with. You were talking at the different levels, P1 through P4,
yep.
and for P3 you said research results that don't fall under P4, so non-identified research results. Do you mean like the raw data, or do you mean like publications?
I'm primarily talking about the raw data.
Okay, great. And then so one of the things that people might not think about is the use of AI and these security levels. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, there's interesting information that came out of the Office of the President that there's a chart that I saw, and I'd have to go find a URL so I can get it to you, and maybe I can do that, and you can share it with the group.
Okay.
But it lists out various AI tools and what level of data can be used with them. And primarily, I mean, generally, P3 and P4 data is usually not encouraged to be used with AI. And we definitely don't want to be putting personally identifiable information in an AI learning model. We don't, I mean, we can't, it can happen, but we need to make sure that we have the appropriate language in the agreements with the vendor. Um,
So it sounds like it's just the only AI we should be using are with any kind of like P level are the ones that UCLA has vetted.
yes,
Okay,
definitely.
awesome. So,
Because when we vet them, we go through the process of ensuring that the privacy and security language includes things like you can't put personally identifiable information in your learning models, and making sure that they have all the security in place that would protect our information in our systems that they have access to.
so if a research team used a commercial or like a free chat GPT and put some data into it, would you want them to report an incident to you?
I think we should probably have a conversation about it and make sure
Okay.
that it's acceptable.
Okay. So yeah, that you want them to reach out to you to
Yeah,
like talk about it. Okay, wonderful.
and we might be, if it's something that's being used broadly, it might be something that we want to take to the AI committee and see if there's guidance that can be created so that it can be used broadly.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Anyone else have any questions? I don't mean to hog it. No? All right. Well, thank you so much, Ross, for your presentation.
My pleasure. It was very brief, but I hope it was informative.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.